Hey guys, how are you doing? And welcome to the second episode of A Scotsman Talks To. Just doing the quick glances to make sure everything's working, juggling so many fun and exciting things. I want to thank you all for joining me again. This is being streamed through a couple of different pages tonight because we have a fabulous guest on tonight. We have Calgary's very own Johnny Summers. Now, some of you will probably be very familiar with Johnny, but those that aren't, he is basically, he's so nice. He's handsome. Incredibly talented, trumpeter, vocalist, all-round nice guy, self-proclaimed grumpy individual. Johnny Summers is just an absolute delight, and I've been really excited about doing this episode. So, once again, ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce you to our guest of A Scotsman Talks To, and welcome Johnny Summers. Hello, Johnny, are you there?
Hey, Calum, how you doing?
Hey, excellent. I'm just always doing that thing when I kick off that I'm checking all around me to make sure everything's working. I need an assistant. So, Johnny, thank you very much for joining us on our second episode. The secret and little bit of truth is Johnny was supposed to be our first guest. And then I had to reschedule, so he couldn't make it as our first guest. So he had to get relegated, and he's still not happy with me about that. So we'll see. Hopefully there'll be no animosity in this interview. But Johnny, to get things started, I think the best thing to do is actually let you introduce yourself and tell the world a wee bit about yourself, please.
Oh, man, really? Talk about myself. I was born at a very young age. Not so long ago, man, I don't even know where to start. I grew up in Calgary. I loved, all the things that we all liked in the 80s. And I think early on, as far as music is concerned, though, I just had a deep passion for it. I would hear music of all different styles and genres and eras and just think, my goodness, this is great. This is so much fun. I was even listening to, I love Motown. I was listening to early Michael Jackson and Motown and the Temptations. And I think it was actually the California Raisins commercials that got me into Motown. I started listening to that music and my mom was like, really, you like that? And then she started, getting me CDs and stuff. Then when I came into, I've been taking piano lessons from the time I was, very, very little. I don't recall 3 or 4 or something. My mom started me really young. And I just love the piano. I love sound. I love music. We had my grandfather, whom I never met. My dad's father bought a brand new Steinway in 1949, right after the war. And had it shipped up from New York, and that was around when I was a kid because my mom had inherited it, and now I have. It's in my studio over there, and so I've written a million things on that, and I still work on it all the time to sort out what I'm doing, and we use it in rehearsals and soon recordings. But I kind of grew up with that instrument around and with music around and loving music, and I mean, I like Corey Hart as a good Canadian boy. I wore my sunglasses at night. You don't know that reference, do you?
No, not at all. I'm just nodding as if I'm knowledgeable.
I'll explain it and we'll edit it in post so that everybody. Okay. Yeah. So but I know I loved his music. I loved all sorts of music, and then I heard a record that my mom got me. It was, I started listening to, started getting into like wanting to get into different music and hear different sounds. And my mom got some, I think it was from a garage sale or something, but she got me some vinyl of Louis Armstrong. And she said, you'll like this. And I got, there's a friend of mine that he was very into poetry. And I think even Dylan Thomas, and he liked poets from all over the world, but we were listening. I was really into literature and reading. And so we would talk about that, and we would hang out. We were like preteens, you know, and 12, 13, 14 years old, talking about Truman Capote and Crime and Punishment. You know, we were weird.
What teenager doesn't?
Yeah, it was, you know, normal teenager things. And but I remember, and we were playing ball hockey together, you know, like street hockey. And then we go rollerblading, and then we listen to records and stuff. But I remember he lent me a record of Harry Connick Jr.'s. This was a CD called Blue Light, Red Light, and I heard Roger Ingram play lead. I heard Leroy Jones play jazz trumpet. I wanted to play trumpet like them. I heard Harry sing and then write and arrange. That, you know, that album still is incredible, and the band was incredible, is incredible, those players, and that really got me thinking, well, you know, I love Louis Armstrong, but that he had passed before I was born. And so it's hard, you know, as a young man, I think, to connect with that, but loving that music and then hearing so much of that music in this Blue Light, Red Light record and in Harry and in Leroy Jones, that was just inspiring. And then when I realized that the record had been recorded 6 months previously or something, well, then that was it. You know, I wanted to figure out how to write big band music and how to be a performer, and you know, all the things that kind of come on there. So I started I started thinking about going to university for school for jazz music and for composition and that kind of stuff, and kind of laying the ground for the next stage of the life, you know, which is
nice.
Which is a couple of years ago now.
Yeah. What's really interesting, Johnny, questions and comments coming in already, which is lovely. And I don't normally do this, but I've got to do it because there's a cheeky young lassie, I say lassie, lady sitting upstairs in my house who has basically just put a comment because she is watching, and obviously she is a pianist. She plays piano.
Okay.
And her first question, she's like, oh, if you play piano, have you ever done anything for the Royal Conservatory of Music?
Yeah, I did. I did my grade 10, something like that. Like, I think that was or 9 or 8 or so. I did that when I was a child. Now I just act like a child. But no, I did that when I was young, and but I did, and I wish I had kept up some of my piano chops. I still play every day, but I have composer piano chops. So any musicians out there, you know what I mean. You're just like, yeah, you know what to do, but you're not practiced like when you hear a real piano player, and it's just effortless. That's a technical side, right? There's kind of the music side of music, and the theoretical, the knowledge, and then there's the real artistic music, and then there's the technique, just getting to be able to play on your instrument, you know, to be able to pick up an instrument and make one sound that sounds good, or to, you know, and then so that everything's in time. That's tough, man. And as a singer, and as a writer, as a composer, as a band leader, and a businessman in music, and as a player, that's too many things for me to keep up as it is. Like, yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm just jealous because I love the idea of playing instruments, but I'm useless at them. I try. And then it's almost like I'll try and play guitar for a couple of minutes, and then it gets Kurt Cobained against a wall. You know, I'm just awful at instruments. I think that's why I just talk for a living. So, you know, play to your strengths. That's the best way.
Yeah, and music is one of those things. I loved it, and I think I had some kind of affinity for it. Like, I liked it, so I wanted to do it. But, you know, we have this mentality, I think, in the kind of American Idol impost that you have it or you don't. But man, people who are really, really great, they work at it. You know, they practice. It's like saying, well, that person's really, really athletic. Look how they can run. I wish I could run like that. Well, you know, eat a salad, start training, start stretching, start running. You know, figure it out. It's like anything we do, right?
Well, that's actually really true, isn't it, Johnny? I mean, there is that whole thing that people always kind of go, oh, you know, you must just be natural. Oh, I just love the fact that you can do this. And it's like, no, it's hard work. You know, when you go to one of your concerts, everyone sees that maybe 2-hour event, and they forget the 6 months plus whatever beforehand that you have worked furiously at rehearsing, practicing, composing, creating.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
always a good thing. So that kind of brings me to a good starting question then. You've introduced yourself. You've told us a wee bit about you, but where exactly did it start? I mean, what is the origin story of Johnny Summers as a beginning artist, musician, trumpeter, vocalist? I mean, where was the start, and what was the main influence behind that? Or was it simply those albums?
I think it was just those albums. And one night I was sitting, in my wingback chair reading a book over the glass, and a bat flew past the window, and I got inspired to dress up at night. And wait a minute.
That you're confusing your genres there again.
Always be yourself. Unless you can be Batman, then always be Batman.
You see, I'm kind of like, it's either Batman or dragon, you know?
A dragon? Yeah. I can see that with you, actually. Yeah. That would be great.
Most people think ogre. I go dragon.
You'd need a larger house.
Yes. Yeah. So you got into the music, you listened to it. So what was it? I mean, you mentioned your family. So were your family involved in music and the arts quite heavily, or?
No, not really. My sister grew up, she was dancing a lot. She took a lot of dance classes, and that was really fun for her. It was really, I think, a really fun, good period of time for her. And she liked, I remember now, I have to ask her this, but she really liked like musicals, like Broadway kind of. And so she I think Cats came out around then, the musical, and I think she really liked music from that. And I think Andrew Lloyd Webber in general, like his music and Phantom and stuff. And so she took singing lessons anyway, and she and then she decided to go, a different route vocationally. And my mom and my dad, they both loved music, and my mom, loves music, just loves it. So I was there, and my grandfather, he passed when I was young, but I have a memory of him this was a thing, I think, unless it was just our family, I don't know. But there was a thing where you would have what was called a rumpus room, and that was like a room in your basement that was a party room. And it's funny because you don't see this anymore. But my grandfather and grandma and our family would go, and their brothers and sisters and stuff, they would all come over, and they come into this into the basement, and it was set up basically to have community, to have people.
Nice.
But you wouldn't sit and just sit there and complain about the problem, all the problems in the world like we do now, and fix it all, and then eat chicken wings and go home. But it was like they would serve food. They had a bar, and they would serve drinks, and there would be a sound station set up, and my grandpa would spin records, and he was a bit of a banjo player. I a very vague recollection of him playing, but good banjo, like
banjos are just evil.
Yeah, it's true. It's very true. But he would play like traditional jazz kind of, when he was into the big band era, and that was his era, And
cool.
So he put on these 78s, and he'd come in, and they'd dance, and everybody would be dancing with each other, and it was like being in an old school club. And there was a little stage on one end with a little organ. I never really remember anyone playing too much music other than my grandpa playing banjo, but.
So what you're kind of admitting live on air is that your grandfather ran an illegal drinking den in your basement?
Yes. Yeah.
No, that sounds awesome. That's I've got to be honest, it's one of those things that I do miss about being away from Scotland, because it kind of sounds a wee bit like the beginnings of what we call a ceilidh.
Okay.
A gathering of community where they sing, they dance, they have food and drink, and everyone kind of takes a turn.
Yeah, lovely.
And that's quite common in Scotland. Even today, that happens quite a bit. So it's one of the things that I do miss about being over here. It's not something I've encountered yet.
Well, and I've noticed in North America in general that live music and that this kind of an experience is something that isn't partaken of as much. It's disappearing from our culture. Yeah. I think we live in, this is just my thought, but we live in usually very nice places, sometimes larger. In a lot of the cities, the homes get quite comfortable and quite large, and which is great. But then we have every song, every food, every video, every TV, movie, everything, just at the touch of a button. And that makes us not want to get out and do things as much. At least it does with me. So I know when something's coming through town here, or when I'm out touring or I'm out traveling and I feel, oh, but I'm kind of tired tonight. Maybe I'm like, no, because so-and-so is playing the such and such. It's a club I've never been to. It's a concert hall I've never been to, or it's someone I've never heard, or someone the last time I heard, just blew me away musically. Or it was so soulful, or it was a play I've always wanted to see, or a musical that I've never seen and had no interest in. But hey, it's what's on tonight. Let's go check it out. And then I come out loving it, and singing the tunes. And so, I mean, I being in the arts, I think that's something that we naturally force ourselves to do, to study the music and to learn more about, all the people who came before us. But I miss it here. And right now, especially with, the situation, I miss performing live, and I miss, but I miss going, but I mean, that means we get to do things like this, which we would have been too busy for otherwise,
Yeah. Well, what Johnny's actually saying is, if it was his normal year, I would never get him on this, because he would literally, Johnny is effectively a monster. Now, in the terms of the performance industry, that means he literally doesn't stop. He is just constantly working hard, creating, developing, and out there. And he's such a hard man to get a hold of. Hence the reason I took a world crisis to grab him on as an interview guest. That's how despicable an individual I am.
You're like a war profiteer. That's what you are.
I wouldn't go that well. Okay.
So it was funny because the first time I met you, we were doing like an acting thing, I guess.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, and that was too much fun. Like, it was just fun to hang out and crack jokes. And
we should elaborate on that. Apparently, when I'm in makeup in a tweed suit, I can slightly resemble Sean Connery in The Last Crusade. And Johnny is a massive, he's a petrol head like I've never encountered. Like, this man is never, ever riding a sidecar motorbike with Johnny. He's terrifying. He's actually a very good driver. But me, I'm a nervous passenger, so he had fun with that. But we were doing something for a friend of ours, the movie bikes thing. So we were doing the Indiana Jones movie bike.
Bikes, yeah.
And that was, I think we probably ruined far too many photographs that day, just not taking it seriously enough and having too much fun.
It's just fun to crack jokes and have fun. I always had this thing, talking with musicians I've worked with through the years, and there was one musician that said, great musician, and he said to me once, he said, I've never had this much fun. And because of that, I'm enjoying the music more, and I'm playing better. And I thought, well, this is a phrase. I don't think I coined this. Maybe I'll take credit for it now. It was, I don't take myself that seriously, but I take what I do quite seriously. And that kind of helped me differentiate, just having fun and just having a sane estimate of yourself and looking at what you're doing and what you want to move into. And so that, for me, realize that with the team of musicians that I'm fortunate enough to work with, that I got to just have fun with them all the time. And when something goes wrong, or they lose focus, or just to encourage that out of them, because we all do that. We're all human, right? We're all going to make some kind of performance error. But what ended up happening was the music and the performance started to be transcendent, better than I thought I could have ever done, because of what they were giving to me and what the audience was giving to me. Yeah,
it's all about having fun. That's it. If we don't love what we do, it doesn't work.
No.
So, moving on with your life story.
Okay.
Because I know that we can. I went on air last night just to kind of do a quick promo for this, and I admitted that we literally sat and had an hour-long conversation yesterday afternoon, just chatting, and basically I was in stitches for half of it. So I know that we can both get carried away and sidetrack. We're both,
Yeah.
we're both men who like to talk and elaborate and have fun.
True.
So I'm going to be a taskmaster, taskmaster, and keep this on track. I am. Well, I'll for at least 2 or 3 questions, and then it's a free for all. So you started playing.
Yeah.
You found your love, your passion. The next step I always find then is mentors.
Yeah.
It's an incredibly important aspect of anyone. It's that wise sage. It's that. It's the Yoda to us all. So
Yeah.
I believe from the research that I kind of feel that I need to do. I've got a guess, so I'm not just sitting here going, so who are you? What do you do? I got the impression you had a huge amount of influences and quite a few mentors.
Yeah,
So
I've been really lucky that way.
Yeah, do you want to tell us a wee bit about some of them and let people know who you've kind of understudied and who's helped to make the monster that is Johnny Summers?
Well, whose fault it is? I think that's what you're
No.
you're trying to get me to post blame. But
You're passing the buck.
yeah, absolutely. None of my failings are my fault. You see there. Yeah. Man, there have been so many. I had a really good high school teacher, Rod Pauls, who taught music. He was very supportive. And you have to go back to that. I had a piano teacher, Arlene Jardine, who was great. She comes out to all the Calgary Jazz Orchestra concert shows now, which is, when she found out about it and came out, a number of years ago, I can't remember, but she came out and said hi. And I mean, I was a wee one when I was studying with her, so it was pretty amazing. And I had a really great high school teacher who took an interest, right? He really wanted to teach the students something and to use music to teach that, whether or not music was going to be part of their lives in some way as a player or whatever. But I don't know any others from my high school that went on to be professional players, but I think some of them still play.
Fantastic.
But they still all have music is a very important part of their life. But he taught more than that. He taught teamwork. He taught leadership. He modeled so many things that I saw. I remember once he got really mad at everybody. I think it was like he wanted everyone to number the bars or something, And I went up to him after and I said, went into his office and I said, you're not really mad, are you? You're and he said, no, I'm not. He's like, but you have to do these things. Like he had a system that worked for him and it worked very well. So as young people, in high school, we learned a lot from that. So he was great. I had, various trumpet teachers and stuff that were average. But then when I was in high school still, I met a man when I was in a workshop in Banff. I think I was 15. And as soon as I turned 16 and could drive, just a few months later, I went down and saw him play as much as possible because he had at Banff, like the beautiful mountain town, like an hour from here. Yeah. And so I went down and saw him play at the Banff Springs Hotel as much as I could. And I remember the first time I walked in, and this was in the Rob Roy dining room. It's gone now. The room's still there, but it's some other name, blah, blah. But you go in, and the band was up there, and I went in and I said, can I sit as close to the music as possible? And so I went and sat and ordered a Coke, because I think, especially at the Banff Springs, when I was 16 years old, that was about all I could afford, was the gas to get down there and the soda pop. I think I'm still paying mortgage points on that one. But and then the waiter kind of came over to get me to leave, and I had a couple friends with me, and Al Muirhead came down and said, no, they can stay and listen. And I wanted to study with Al right then, but he wasn't teaching lessons at all, and I don't think he realized how serious I was. But when I went to university, I started university at 17, and I had them bring, they were very, very nice at UC, to bring him in as my teacher. And so he was one of my very first mentors, and still is. And he plays in the Calgary Jazz Orchestra, and he's one of my dear friends, and he's taught me a lot through the years and continues to. And then right around that time, I met Tommy Banks, who was a great piano player. He had a CBC television show for 17 years, I think, like a talk show. He was a host of a talk show, and his band played. And I can't even, and he had a CBC radio show. He was a senator for 8 years. I can't even go into how much he's influenced kind of all of us in Canada, and especially in the West here. But what a killing piano player, great businessman, great writer, and just like a wonderful human being he was. And so I was fortunate enough to meet him then, and then to be able to learn from him, and then to eventually record with him and work with him later on in my career. And he's on my Christmas record too, and just so much. I have a story I'll tell.
Please do.
This is completely unrelated to music, but this was just a couple of years ago, and I was mowing my lawn, and I have a large patch of lawn, and so I'm on this riding lawnmower, and I had my headphones in, and then they, like all modern headphones, they start ringing, and it, the phone rings, and so I shut the thing down, and it's baking hot outside, and there's grass pieces all over me, and mosquitoes trying to suck the blood from me, and it's hot and sweaty, and pull off the work gloves, and all this, it's how hard my life is sometimes. I don't know. Anyway, so yeah, so and I actually love doing stuff like that, because I love listening to music when I'm doing stuff like that. But anyway, so the phone rings, and I answer. So I'm just sitting there, and it was Tommy, and he's just asking me about his email. He's like, well, can you check your email? Did you get this? Did you get something from this email address from me? And I said, sure, let me check this out. And so he goes, oh, do you have to go inside? And no, it's okay. I've got it. It's 2017. I'm okay. And so I'm checking, and it was, I think he must have called me about 40 times that day, and this email address is for this, and this going here, and because he was troubleshooting his email, and we had so many great conversations that day, but nothing to do with music. But
no, it doesn't matter. Those are beautiful moments. I have so many silly little moments like that as well, which are just they make for lovely experiences. Always good fun. So you've had lots of mentors. You've learned from some of the greats, it would appear. You technically are now becoming one of the greats. I don't want to give you too much of an ego, because I know it's already big enough. But we all hit that point. Has there been any times in your career that you've really hit a kind of trial, a tribulation? Has there been a real kind of moment that you almost felt like, I'm done, I can't keep going this way? Have you ever had that sort of thing? I know some people haven't, but it's always nice to, we don't want to just stick to the positive here. We want to show them the dark side of performance.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, of course. Even just this instrument, it's gotten sometimes to the point where I go, nope. No. Maybe I just can't play this well, and maybe it's just time to quit. This is a brass instruments are difficult, and trumpet is technically just to get around the horn, just to play one sound. And I'll demonstrate quickly, but it's like the way they teach you when you first start is, hey, little Timmy, little Johnny, whomever, little Sally, can you do this? And kids go, and they stick a horn on, they go. So like you get this grade 7 trumpet sound, and yeah. And over years you try to sort out how to do that, but you're expected to, there's this thing, like you're kind of expected to have all sorts of abilities on an instrument. Oh, so you're a professional. Sure, that's how I make my living. I do my best. And then
what's your other job?
Yeah. What do you do during the day? Like those kind of, you know what I mean? Those questions, right? I'm like, well, I practice 3-4 hours, and then probably spend 3-4 hours on business, and then 3-4 hours on marketing and logistics, and and then I go perform somewhere. It's but those questions come up. Yeah, they don't so much anymore from me, but they used to when I was starting out. But just technically, like learning to. And to be able to just improvise things and create things that you hear, and it took me a long time, and I'm still working on it. I don't feel like I'm even close to, because you hear, I'll go back and listen to Lee Morgan, or listen to Miles Davis, or listen to Dizzy Gillespie, or people who aren't even on the instrument, or people who are today, Wynton. I'll hear something Wynton Marsalis plays, and then I just go, I'm done. Can't do that. He wins the prize. And it's not about that, of course, but
yeah,
that's also the great part of it, is just you keep hearing sounds that are so amazing by so many amazing musicians in the world, and think, which part of those can I integrate, and which part of those do I want to try to add, and how do I reach the audience that way? So if I'm really into some crazy something type of trumpet playing or music, or I'm really and how do I get someone who hasn't studied music and that's not their job? They're there to enjoy and to partake and so how do I take them on a journey? And that's why I miss concerts, and that's why I love concerts even more so than I like concerts, and I like making records, like complete albums,
nice,
as opposed to like single tracks and let's put out an Instagram video that gets 100,000 views or something. That doesn't excite me as much, because it's not, when I've sat there in front of someone. I mean, I've been reached by recordings. Don't get me wrong, I love recordings, but I've sat there in front of trumpet players and saxophone players and singers. I remember once, the first time I worked with D. Daniels, just my jaw dropping. I was in the orchestra. I think I was playing a solo chair or something, and the lead trumpet player was from somewhere in the States, and I wish I could remember his name now. He was fantastic, and he knew her, and he said, we were in the rehearsal, and he just kind of gives me an elbow, and he goes, "This is going to be good," because she walked out as the guest. And this was something that I think Dave Pierce had put together. He was a great arranger and project starter. And she walked out and she started singing, and it was just my jaw dropping. So I talked to her right after that, and I said, I want to study with you, and I'd like to know you better. And she's a dear friend of mine now, and I got to study with her. That was a long time ago, I guess, 15 years. Yeah, gosh. And then the record I put out, Sweet Jubilation, she's a guest on, and
lovely.
I hope to record and do more with her in the future. She's amazing, but there's just, I don't know, there are just so many, and the thing that, to go back to the original question, apologize for my tangent, but
that's okay.
Is I think we all think that we need to, I can never be good at this, but it's not about that. It's about exploring it. And then when you just start exploring and your ego goes to the side, and you hear someone who is just jaw-droppingly better at you in this one thing you're trying to work on, and you go, wow, that's awesome. And then you go, okay, can I learn from you, or more about you, or can we share ideas, or how do I bring that into what it is I have to offer? And if that makes sense. Yeah.
You've actually kind of almost touched on my next question. I mean, honestly, it's like I didn't give you any instructions beforehand. But however, there's a few wee comments coming through.
Okay.
Someone's mentioning Spirit Fingers, formerly known as Polyrhythmic. It's a band, apparently. I don't know. Take Me on a Journey, tune number 12. I don't know. People are throwing things out like this in case. I think... I mean, I'm loving this, but I'm wondering, it's like, you won't know every band out there, will you, Johnny? Johnny, you don't, do you, Johnny?
Let me think about it. No. But it might be, I don't know. No, it doesn't. It's not ringing a bell. I'm sorry. And I'm really sorry if it's someone that's hired me to play on something and I don't remember the name of the track either. I apologize that too. But
and someone's asking, do you know or listen to a band called Knee Body?
No.
Body. Great tunes with sax and trumpet, apparently.
Oh, great. Yeah, I haven't heard that one, no.
Yeah. Again, going back a few questions that we were talking about, somebody's actually asking, obviously, the interest has been tweaked when you were talking about your grandfather, his lovely gatherings in the basement.
Yeah.
Is that something that would appeal to you to try and bring back into the world? Those kind of beautiful moments where you just have a gathering of people and enjoy company, but also play, have tunes, share the music, the love?
Yeah, I think it is, but I think that's it. That is, yeah. I've never. I have to think about that. Yes, but I think for me, it's come out in a different way. I'm actually, even though this is what I do for a living, I'm actually quite introverted. So I'm quite happy just being at home, and being with my family and being quiet and being still. But not all the time, of course. I think I've tried to do that when I created the Calgary Jazz Orchestra, and when I do concerts, I'm trying to bring that joy and that live music back to people, and where it isn't necessarily in my area as often, or in most areas as often as I think it needs to be, or deserves to be, or is worthwhile to to our spirit and to our soul, and to have this music that comments on the human condition and to interact with it. It's just so, we always talk about the importance of the arts.
Yes.
And I just go, I don't think we need to support the arts. We need to let the arts support us. I hate that whole support the arts thing. I hate that. I mean, it's true that, it's the arts have supported me. And you think of watching a movie without a soundtrack, my goodness. You think of not watching, like right now, this thing we're going through, if we didn't have access to this renaissance of television and film over the last decades to pull from, to entertain us and to make us feel and to reach out and give us adventure and ideas and comedy, just pure fun, and all the different things that are important to being human, and any music to it's just so intrinsic to who we are. And the more for me at least, and for what I've seen, the more we engage in that, we do. Now the community is part of that. So for me, it's my team. I always talk about the team of players I play with, because it's a large pool of incredible musicians. And I'm based in Calgary, so in Calgary and beyond, and in cities Edmonton and Vancouver and Toronto and in the States, and even when we went over to Japan and we played with players there, to connect with them and create that community, and we have all these apps and social things that allow us to do that now. And to connect with people who are musicians or who were there and you shared that experience with. Yes, and then with my groups, when they come over, maybe I'll spin the camera around and you'll see my kitty sleeping in the middle of the studio. But this is my office here. My desk is over there and my horns are there. And the built next to it is my the rehearsal space, the rehearsal hall. And we rehearse the Calgary Jazz Orchestra here, but everyone comes in and there's a kitchen on the far side, and they can come in and grab a drink, and we always have food, and we always have there's a foosball table, and they all play at that, and they can go out back, and we have a nice view out the back, and those things were important to me because I wanted them to all feel special and comfortable. Yeah. And then their music's ready for them, everything's set up, we come in, we sit, and then we just enjoy fellowship, and we play music together, we work on it. But I think we enjoy fellowship most. We enjoy community. And then we try to bring,
aspect of it. Yeah,
I think so. And then we bring that to every other group and every other team I work with in music, and then into the audiences when they get to come hear us. And that's and then they become part of the community. There are people that come to every single concert, and I love them dearly. And some of them I don't know well. Some of them just come up because I get a handshake and a big smile. Some of them I get a big hug, and others want to talk my ear off, and I love it all. It's because you're connecting with people. And that's
it's one of the aspects that I think a lot of people don't quite realize is a part of what we do. Yeah, they'll see us on stage, but then there's that whole bit where if you have done something which is connected with the person, quite often they'll want to come and talk to you about it. They'll want to come and share that story, that feeling, and it's a beautiful thing when it happens and when you get it, when you've just made that perfect connection with someone. It's just wonderful.
It's true.
Yeah.
When we debuted a couple of the tracks from Sweet Jubilation years ago, this was a concept I wanted to do for 20 years. It was based on John Coltrane's Love Supreme. It was based on, that influenced me a lot. The Sacred Concerts by Duke Ellington with big band and choir, and Wynton Marsalis's In This House on This Morning. And all the musicians, all the writing, all the performances were outstanding. And I love the fusion of jazz, gospel. I don't really like the word fusion, but bringing the influences, I guess, from those different styles in. And then we did a few of those songs I arranged years ago. And there were people that had tears in their eyes. Just and this is going back 14 years or 15 years. But they came up and they just did huge hugs and tears in their eyes. Some of them had stories, some of them had no words, but there was a lot of them, and the musicians that I was performing with took this thing that I was trying to create and turned it into something really beautiful. And that's inspiring to me to try to do better the next time. So when I finished the entire suite and we did the debut, the energy and the response is what makes me want to do the next show and write the next, when a big band chart is, for me, is 30 to 40 hours of work for a 5-minute, jazz orchestra arrangement. That's a lot of work. And it's just constant, for the most part, it's a lot of data entry, but it's also a lot of mental work and creative work, and it's exhausting. So sometimes for a concert, if I'm writing 7, 8, 9, 14 new big band charts, and then I take all what I've created for that and I move it into my 8-piece band that we tour with a lot, and then I move it to the 5 or 4, depending on where we're playing. But that's just getting that response, and then finally getting able to record it and make a recording of it, to hear people's responses on it. That's really, yeah. So I think, as far as my grandpa creating community for his family, I think, mine's just larger. The community I want to create for is just larger.
Yep, amazing. You've kind of broached upon training and learning, so I think I can kind of go over that question very quickly, because everybody knows how important it is, and you mentioned it. You see a musician and you're like, oh, how can I develop? Obviously incredibly important to yourself and to everyone else, but is there anything that you are doing currently? I mean, what's your regime for training and practice? I mean, are you just constantly every day at it, or do you feel you need to take a break?
Both. So it was interesting. Right when we went into isolation, I think 74 days, something now. So from when it was kind of mandated in my area, I was playing a show with a huge group of musicians, and we just kind of, and the show was a run of shows, and then it was canceled. And the producers, like, it was for a high school that was putting it on. They were super classy, and they paid all the musicians out to the end of the contract, which is super amazing.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah.
And then everything else got canceled within a week. And of course there are no new bookings. So for the first time ever, I'm staring at a blank calendar. And it doesn't upset me. It doesn't scare me. But there are more important things in the world right now to worry about. Mm-hmm. I'm sad for missing a lot of the traveling and overseas. I was going back to London. You know how much I love London. You don't, but
I'm not a fan. No, actually, London I love. I think London is a great city. It's just a shame where it's located.
I thought you were going to say it's just a shame of the people. That's what I thought you were doing.
Yeah. No, London is actually, it's very like Edinburgh, a wee bit like Calgary and other places. It's so cosmopolitan. There's so many different cultures in there. It's a beautiful melting pot, which you can't. There's no way you can really hate the people, because they're just so beautiful and diverse.
It's true. I love London, and I love Edinburgh a lot too. And we were going to go, so like it's unfortunate, but I'm sure I'll get a chance again. But for me, so this is basically what it slammed me into. I got tagged in a post on social media somewhere, and it was a very flattering post. It was a very well-meaning, loving post, and it said, wow, with all this shut-in time, I can't wait to see what the artists are going to create. And I'm sure I'm going to, and they tagged 4 or 5 different people that this person enjoys. very honored that I was one of them, that they would just shout out at me like that. It really is. It's quite honoring. But I stopped and I thought, I'm going to rest. Like, I've been creating for 20 years. I'm tired. You know, I've been writing, and I've been traveling, and I've been working, and I've been practicing. And so what I'm doing both. I'm not, I have been writing, but I haven't been sitting down to write. I haven't done the professional. I need to finish this arrangement. It's where I've been, it'll come out, and then I'll write it down, and I push it aside, and I'll bring it back later when I need to, you know. Which is a much nicer way to write. But I've been spending, you know, time every day on my voice and on my instrument, just doing technique and practicing regimented technical things. It'd be the same as, okay, you want to run faster, you need to do these stretches and these exercises. Yeah. So it's, you know, it's a lot of just hearing. And just getting around the horn and feeling comfortable. And, you know, articulation exercises. Like when we play, I'm trying to make it for myself to be very effortless and very easy, because when I used to play, it was very much, you know, like really forcing. And so I tried to, through a lot of things that I won't bore you about, but to try to make it feel easier, and to be less, you know, less effort. Changing my gear and that I play, and changing in a way that works for me and my approach. But then it's also like articulating, just like when we speak, we do something we call tonguing, where we're saying like ta or da or dot. And so I've been working on different patterns. So that I can just practice another color. So like, you know, just small little detail things, you know, like painting a picture, and you watch a great paint. I love watching great artists, great painters. And
Ross, of course, great artists.
And I have these charcoal paintings, drawings upstairs in my dining room, and it's that we commissioned from this gentleman in Venice, you know, the one with the water. And he was doing these charcoal, and just watching him, and how he wanted a different effect, and how it was just a different. Well, I'm watching him, and I'm going, that's 10 years minimum to learn that little flick he did that gave it that so effortlessly, you know. And so I'm kind of, and when you're really busy and you're really working as a player, you're not. I find, maybe other players are different, but keeping up on the business, and as a singer, and as an arranger, and as a trouble player, all these things that I try to do well, it's a lot of this. And then you're traveling, and then you've got this show, and then I know I've got this other show coming up, so I'm learning this music for this other show while I'm performing this show, and then there's different gear, and there's different. It's just the logistics, right? So I don't necessarily have the time or the energy to just I've sat in the side passenger seat or back seat of a car with a practice mute and a pocket trumpet. I don't know if I have one handy. Yeah, here's one. This is a pocket trumpet.
That's a big pocket.
You need a big pocket in order to play such a trumpet. So like it sounds like a regular trumpet, but it's small. So like I'll sit in the car with a there's a ton of mutes back there. I don't know if you can see them, but with a practice mute in there, or a harm mute or something, and then of course the valves are sticky. Unrehearsed.
No, that's okay.
It's like just to get around the horn, but a lot of the course, you know, like I'm just playing 2-5-1s. So it doesn't matter. I'm just doing harmonic things, like chordal things, warming up my brain. But a lot of what we do would be just a repetitive pattern, and then through all the keys, making sure you're doing it perfect. And so I like traveling with this because it was just easy to, you know, pull out. And this one actually was Guido Basso's, who's one of my absolute heroes from Toronto. Unbelievable. So anyone who hasn't heard Guido Basso, listen to Guido Basso. He's the most beautiful flugelhorn player, trumpet player. Amazing.
That's a Johnny Summers recommendation for this episode, folks. We're getting a lot of love for the trumpet playing, by the way. I'm just letting you know. People are really enjoying these little, just even the warm-up stuff you're doing. Everyone's saying a couple of comments about how much they love the sound of the trumpet.
I think it's just juxtaposed to hating the sound of my voice. I think that's...
So I have a personal question to ask. Have you ever thought of playing the bagpipes?
Have I? I want to.
Really?
Do you have any?
No, they're god-awful instruments. No, they're not.
I think
when they're played well, they are exquisite. I have a friend down in the States who is a world champion for many years, and he teaches bagpipes. Yori Chisholm.
Do they fight with them? Is there a competition? How do you become a world champion of...
I don't know. Well, see, I reckon it's like the first stage is jumping into the ocean and wrestling an octopus. And then you've got to somehow ram the bits of wood down its legs. And it's very brutal. It's been banned in many countries because it's very inhumane.
Man.
You know, we're not a very nice country, you know. Okay, Johnny. So we better move on because time is ticking. I don't want to keep you all night because I know we can talk. And I'm loving this, and I'm actually forgetting to ask questions because I'm just enjoying what you're saying.
Oh, cut me off, man. I'll go on for it. I
know, and that's kind of what I'm enjoying. It's actually nice having you just talk, and it's very pleasant. So we've spoken about training. We've spoken about your journey, your beginning. Let's move on to where you are now. Obviously, you've already mentioned it slightly. We are in a real strange situation. Yeah. You are not necessarily focusing 100% on grinding it out at the moment, but have you any plans that you're developing that you can tell us about that aren't secret? Oh,
yeah. Well, see, you know, the traditional thing is this, right? You know, we put out records. That was my first record, which I never put this on streaming. You can't get it anywhere because it was my first record. And I'll come back to that in a second because I wrote a bunch of music on that. I recorded that when I was 21, like 3.5 years ago. And then this one I did the year after, Walked Through the Park, and I wrote all the music on this with my quartet.
That sultry stare.
That's just for you.
Smoldering eyes.
Can I tell you one thing about doing this for a long time? Because even when we did this, this was actually the first... trying to make that not glare. This was the first big photo shoot I ever did. It was so much fun. It was a photographer from Toronto named Clint Adam Smith, great photographer. And actually someone stole all the photos from it. So we've lost, which is too bad because it would have been fun for me to keep. But all the original, there are tons of photos from then. But when we did this one, it was a great photographer named John Hallett that was doing the photography for this one. And it was just like, by here, I absolutely loathed seeing photos of myself. It was like, done, just done. And now it's like, especially now today's age, right, with digital. And I work with this great photographer named Michael Stelmack from Stelmack. He's great. I've worked with him for years. He's photographed my race team and he's photographed my music and my last album covers forever. And he'll send like 1,000 photos. I mean, yeah, you're just like, wow. You know, like
I've even done a couple of photo shoots like a second apart or something. And you're like, but they just look exactly the same. But there's a slight variation of this hair went out of place. As I don't have that problem, but you know.
No, that's okay because I can't really grow a beard. Yeah, this is my COVID beard. I've been working on this for 74 days.
Wow.
Yeah, wow. Pretty good. AC
this is my COVID hair. I've been working on this for. It's actually I've been watching you throughout this interview, kind of flick your hair, and I'm just thinking you're just doing that deliberately. You're just like, ha, Calum.
Oh, I didn't think you know it. You know what? I was as bald as a turnip, and then I got this chia pet for Christmas one year, and I just didn't put it on the pet, man. That's.
I'm not even going there. I'm not
This was, we just fly through these, and but this thing was like to create these piano session series, which I'll do more of. I did this one with the great Chris Andrew, this one with Tommy Banks, and we wrote a bunch of tunes together. And then we put out my Christmas record with Tommy is on some tracks, Chris is on some Chris is on here, and then the Calgary Jazz Orchestra is on this one, and then I put out Sweet Jubilation with the Calgary Jazz Orchestra and the New Symphony Chorus, and this was a big, exhaustingly huge suite that I wrote. And then this is the record we just put out last month, Baker's Dozen. Yeah. And this used to be kind of the, thank you.
Yeah, really enjoyed it.
Following the Chet Baker, but not trying to be verbatim. Just, I love Chet. And when you're learning, that learning never stops. You transcribe. So I've transcribed so much Chet Baker, meaning, his version of Summertime. And just like listening, that's his intro, and just listening to that music, and then trying to play all the notes from ear, and it takes a long time when you first started doing it, but it allows you to, just like speaking, develop the language so that when you improvise, you can play something that is Chet at, like in the style of the person that you're idolizing. So then we would do something that. Okay, that high note he might not have played there like that. That was a little bit more Miles, but you start to be able to emote and speak the language of artists that you love. Then once you get all the bits and pieces, you just go, I'm just going to play.
But just we'll have to, yes.
So
lovely, Johnny. Thank you so much.
Thanks, man. Well, and so where I'm at right now is that's the traditional method, and you would still sell CDs live. People don't order as much online, but they still order, which is lovely. Yes, and but we're in this age where we expect music and art and everything to be free. So we and that's difficult because these recordings, going into a recording studio, paying all the musicians to honor them, for their time and their talent, marketing, all these things, like it is expensive and it's very time consuming. So the what I'm going to be doing going forward here is every couple of years we're going to put out a live record, a studio record. Nice. That we will still send out to all radio and will be available for purchase, and it'll be, of course, free on streaming, because streaming doesn't pay artists a living, not even close to a living wage. It's irrelevant, but it is marketing. So it'll still go through all those channels. But if anyone's interested in this with me, it would be just to sign up on my email list, because that'll be the first time we'll get in touch with you. But we're just going to set up like a subscription base. Excellent. So we're going to have a monthly subscription or a yearly subscription, and then we're going to make records just for those people.
Nice.
So the record might be 3 songs long. It might be 10 songs. I want to do a record of Ellington music with a small group, and we'll record it here in my studio. We have everything outfitted now to do that moving forward. We might do a live stream concert that's for the subscribers. So we'll do a live stream here. Subscribers get to watch it. We record it. It gets mixed. It gets edited, and then it gets uploaded so that subscribers now have a copy of the live stream concert that they watched a couple weeks ago, but recorded professionally and EQ'd and engineered professionally. And then so it's just made direct to them. And we might release some of those tracks onto streaming, but really it's about creating something that allows that infrastructure to survive so that I can create more.
Like it.
So I'm really excited about that. We could do, I love the music of Michael Jackson. I really want to do a jazz record around Michael Jackson, one around the music of Disney. I love Disney music. I want to do Ellington's music. I'd love to do a small group record of Harry Connick Jr.'s tunes. He's written so much great music.
To be honest, I am a Harry Connick Jr. fan as well. He was very early growing up listening to him as well. I didn't obviously follow in the footsteps, but yeah, love his music. Now, interesting, I've just been asked, so I'm just going to answer this. Stephanie, Johnny does have other social media outlets. Most of them are in the blurb about the show, so you will be able to find more information about Johnny and find out about him. Johnny, I would like to just check, though, your CDs. Are they on sale through your websites, etc., just to let people know, or is it through other means?
They are. They're available everywhere. Thanks for asking, Stephanie. They're available everywhere. My latest record is on Cellar Live, so it's available through that website because it's on the Cellar Music Group record label. The thing that we've been doing lately that I haven't been able to do historically is if you just write the website through the contact form. Words speak good. The contact form, yeah, and just write it in and let us know what you want, and then we can send you a signed copy of any of the records. And then we've been doing groups of them. The 7 records that I have out, and this one that I put out with a single that I made with the great Katie George, and we wrote a song together, a Christmas song called "Miracles Can Happen," and then I put some. Another song that was unreleased with my little big band called "Cool Yule." That we send the 7 records and that for I think it was $70 and then plus shipping. And but I'll sign them for people because we have that ability to do that now. It was difficult to always have time to kind of do that that personal touch. It was.
Well, when you're getting thronged and the underwear's getting thrown on the stage, must be very distracting for you.
Yeah, it's not the underwear so much as when people throw kilts. That's the one that...
it was once. And I got escorted out because I'd forgotten to put something on under it. I mean, okay.
Your thong, apparently.
It was a schoolboy era. Okay, Johnny. Oh, my goodness. So... we're kind of coming to the end because I don't want to keep you here all night. I am loving this conversation with you. Lots of really positive comments here. People are really enjoying the little trumpet playing. But I think it comes to the special moment where I need to ask you some... No. Whip it out, boy. Whip it out. Have you got a wee tune, actually, that you'd like to just...
Sure, I'll play something.
Please. I think everyone... because I know we've got a wee video option, but I think people are really enjoying you just having a little blast. Is that the term? Blast? What would the term be? Toot?
There are a lot of terms, but we're just gonna sure.
Yeah, just please. I'd love it as well. Thank you, Johnny.
I have to think of a song. It's just like 6 songs ran across my head. I just got to grab one and write it.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Wow. Thank you so much, Johnny.
Thanks, Calum.
Thank you so much. That's awesome. And you know, I'm laughing because your face is just so full of the energy and the of what you're doing. So it's really kind of it's lovely to see. But you know, it's just nice. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. So let's move on to the quick fire question round.
Okay, quick fire.
You're the first person to get this. So basically, I asked the
I'm
audience.
under a tremendous amount of pressure here because I really want to win that car. So, okay, here we go.
Did we not tell him that the car was off the... Oh, sorry. So... basically what I did, Johnny, is I asked the audience, people that have been watching and know me, to kind of email me with a selection of kind of silly questions, just ones that can be answered quickly. But the way I like to say that they may create a psychological profile of you, for Facebook too. No.
Yeah,
okay, are you ready?
Go crazy on this one.
So the first one that somebody put through: if you had a superpower, what would it be, and would you use it for good or evil?
Flight.
Good or evil?
It would be really fun, like crazy fun.
Yeah.
And I'd never have an excuse for being late. I might be late, but flight. And I use it for good and my own fun.
Okay. Excellent. Why did the chicken cross the road?
Yes. There are no wrong answers.
There are no wrong answers. No, you're right. Okay.
Because he had a gig, man.
He had a gig, man. Oh, you're great.
It's worth it.
Great. Okay, if you ever got stuck in an elevator with one person, who would it be?
Living or dead?
Doesn't matter. You decide.
His dead might smell.
No.
terrible.
Okay. Let's let suspension of disbelief. Don't worry about the odor.
Okay. Man, that's tough. I'd probably I'd break the rules and I'd schedule a continuous string of elevator malfunctions based around people that I thought were intriguing. One would be Harry Connick Jr., sure, because he's a hero of mine, and I think we probably just crack jokes the whole time.
Are you sure you wouldn't like stroke his face inappropriately? Because I know you really like Harry Connick Jr.
I think there's some of you coming out in this. There's some. You have some. We're learning more about you right now. I think.
It's okay. Yeah. So Harry Connick Jr. Anyone else? I'm gonna let's give me your top three.
I mean, for real, I think it would be really interesting. I find history quite fascinating, and I find that it's difficult to really understand what a cultural vernacular mindset was 100 years ago, 500 years ago, 1,000 years ago. So I think it would be amazing to get to talk to Louis Armstrong in 1920, or to Duke Ellington, in 1940, or to Alexander the Great, or to, you know what I mean? Just to there's so many.
I think an elevator would freak out Alexander, though.
Yeah. Edison. We could talk to Edison, and then he'd steal the plans for the elevator and invent it himself.
Yeah. I love it. Okay. Who would play you in a biopic of your life?
Dan Aykroyd.
Great actor. Are we talking about an older version of you?
Dude, I'm not a movie producer. I didn't say I'd make a good choice.
Okay. Good.
Who would play me? Okay.
No, you've done it. It's too late.
Okay.
It's live.
It's
Can't
live.
take it back. No takey backsies. Okay, toilet roll. Do you place it inside or outside? Outside. Outside?
Yeah.
Good boy. Good. That's apparently a psychological one.
The truth is, you're better off using the 3 seashells.
The 3, Johnny, a lot of people might not know that reference.
It's okay.
You're older gentlemen doing something in a modern medium.
Well, I mean, you need to learn how to use the 3 seashells because sometimes there are crazy people who just buy all the toilet paper.
This is true.
It's true. I just needed to get a pack of toilet paper, right? And I did not want to ask because I didn't want to seem crazy. So the 3 seashells came in quite handy.
Yeah. Oh, the whole toilet paper thing's been hilarious. Like, I bet, like, would you, okay, random question, would you rugby tackle a grandmother for the last roll of toilet paper?
No, goodness sakes, no.
Sorry, I saw some videos of despicable acts and I was just like, really, guys? Just use the garden hose.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. What's your favorite kitchen utensil?
Underwear under the kilt. Sorry, what?
What's your favorite kitchen utensil and why?
The fork, because it allows you to eat cake, ice cream, pickles, whatever you want, straight out of the jar, the container. But don't ever tell anyone I said that.
Okay, no. Is your wife close by?
Of course not. I would never say that.
Because that's what gets me into trouble. Okay, which musical artist is your guilty pleasure?
Guilty pleasure, man. I'm like seriously racking my brain. I was about to say Bach. I've been listening to the Bach cello suites a lot lately.
That's not guilty. Okay, so I'll give you an idea. Last night, it came out by accident that I may have been listening to Nickelback at some point in the recent time period, and I did enjoy them.
Okay, man. I'm seriously, man. I'm trying. I like Nickel. I'm okay with Nickelback. I like Justin Timberlake, but I like some of it. Like they produce some incredible music. So okay, there you go, Justin Timberlake.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay, well, we're sticking with that. We're sticking with that. Okay, where are we? Okay, worst job you've ever had to do, if you've actually ever had to do a job.
Play trumpet. Yeah.
What?
Yeah, sure, man. I've had the worst experiences ever working as a trumpet player. I mean, that's just, or a singer, or gosh, I mean, I had some jobs when I was a kid. I worked in a record store. I worked in a comic book store. I loved comics when I was young. Sweeping up, mopping the floor. I worked in a paint warehouse when I was in high school, but I loved it because it was physical and it was moving. It was fun, it was driving electric trucks all over the place as fast as I could. And but I've had the absolute best times. Don't get me wrong, but I'm, sometimes it's jaw-droppingly shocking, the lack of respect or the lack of human decency that people will treat performers with. Yeah. We do get treated very well and very loving the majority of the time. And so now when it happens, you just kind of look at each other and go,
yeah, I know that feeling. And you're just,
am I being punked? This is the, and I mean, I'm again racking my brain at the top of my head. We've got so many stories, I'm sure. And if any of my guys are actually watching this right now, they're probably like, Johnny, that time that, etc. But and sometimes they're just really funny and inane things, but our green room was set up, and there was the table that was put out for us was for preschoolers, toddlers. So it's this far off the ground, and the chairs are
and they didn't separate the M&Ms and
no, man, we were just all the red M&Ms were in there. They left all the W's in there. Leave my right.
You know what? That's when I actually walk out of a gig. I'm just like, nope, I'm done. I leave.
Yeah, I'm out. Yeah. Don't they know who I think I am? So so we all sat there.
The delusions I have spun in my head. God damn it.
That's right. So I was like, whatever, we sat there. And then it was funny because the next night we were playing a place that had this lovely spread of food for us, and there was a kitchen. And there's this beautiful lounge for us, and and so this incredible food and kitchen, and then some servers and stuff. But there was a little table for little kids, for whatever reason, in this room, kind of in the middle off to the side, with these little chairs. And so we all got our food and we all sat there because we thought it was hilarious. So, I mean, but like we were, it's someone will come running up and you're amazed that this would even happen. It's okay. They're about to give a speech, you're playing an event, or a big party or something. And we've done this thousands of times. We love doing this. And then the person who has never overseen an event like this is so stressed out, and you're trying to make it easy on them because that's your job, right? Because you've done this before. So, but then they start getting really uptense and they just start saying the craziest things, and then they'll run up. Someone's about to walk up to give a speech, and they'll start freaking out on the other end of the room, and and they calling out to you, and I'm like, I see them, like, we're okay, just like yeah, we'll stop when it's cool, But
we've got stories that we could share all night.
I'm trying to.
I learned recently, never meet your idol or any of your idols.
It's true, man.
Earth-shatteringly bad for you.
Well, I I really dig Brad Pitt. Like, I really like a lot of the movies and stuff he's been in, and I heard that, like, never meet your idols. But I thought he handled it okay.
No,
when he met me.
Yeah, did he take you out for lunch?
Yeah, he was
sushi?
He was okay.
Wonton?
Sushi.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Ramen. Sorry, it was ramen, wasn't it?
Yeah. We went for ramen.
Okay. What's your view on garden gnomes?
Okay, the very short story, they're terrible. They're horrendously terrible. But my grandfather had a lot of them, and even had this like cement burrow that had a trailer that was all cement, and they put flowers in the trailer. So I love that. And I said to my wife once, I said, I want to have two very like gray, not the crazy color stuff, and I'm going to hide them on my property somewhere, just to remember my grandfather. So I actually have two little garden gnomes hidden. Nobody sees them in my property, because when I see them, it reminds me of my grandpa.
Oh, that's really nice.
Yeah.
I love that. That's great. Thank you, Johnny. Okay, pineapple on a pizza.
No, it's terrible. Don't do it. No, you're wrong. You make that face because you're wrong. You eat haggis. I've seen it. You're wrong.
Haggis is divine.
Actually, I had incredible haggis in Edinburgh. So have you been to Angels and Bagpipes?
Yes.
That restaurant? Oh my God.
On the Mile? Yep. It's no longer there.
What? What'd you do?
That one shut down.
What'd you do?
They were playing bagpipes, man. It was inhumane.
Oh, that's terrible. That was a Michelin-rated restaurant.
Yeah, it was a really nice place. I actually was speaking to an old friend, just to sidetrack, about Edinburgh. He was telling me a wee story. He'll be on it another one, so I don't want to ruin it. But a filming company had come into Edinburgh to do a movie, and apparently they shut down the Royal Mile for 3 days and paid off all the businesses. And I was just like thinking about all the money that those guys make in those businesses, because it's the central hub. And I was like, wow, that's pretty impressive. And I know movie companies have got money, but to basically say, no, we're just buying your city for...
Amazing. But I did like haggis there. The haggis was very good. Yeah. Okay, next. See, so no pineapple on pizza. I love pineapple. I love pizza. You put them together? No. Next.
But see, if you have like ham and pineapple and then black olives, oh.
I like black olives on pizza, but as soon as you got pineapple and then the juice goes and it's gross. It's nasty.
It's great. Trust me. It's good.
It's a fruit. Y'all don't put a fruit on a pizza.
Excuse me, it helps you fight scurvy.
That's true. If I had it and I had to fight it, maybe I'd eat pineapple on pizza.
Okay, last question in this. Johnny, I know this would never happen to you because you're such a lovely man. Everyone adores you. You're so nice and pleasant, but you're about to get in a bar fight. What is the soundtrack that starts playing in your head?
Chariots of Fire. I don't even know where that came from. It was just literally the first thing that I thought of.
Is that because you're just running?
In slow motion as I'm just getting
taken. See, I took it the other way. I was like, you're turning and running for your life.
Yeah,
with your
maybe.
skirt tails trailing.
Yeah, I'd tell you maybe. Either that, or it would be like, it would be like Main Stem or something by Duke Ellington. That's just like crazy, because then they'd all be so distracted by what is this playing, and I'd be in my element, so I'd be happy. I have a story about that though. So I really like martial arts, and I've done a lot of that through my life. And there's a period where I was training intently with it's a great exercise. It's a beautiful art form, and I was training with a teacher from the Shaolin Temple in Singapore, which is where he's from. And I trained with him for a lot of years. Lovely man. And we do these things called, in Wushu and Kung Fu, they do these things called horse stances and triangle stances. And so like a triangle horse stance is where you bend your knees. You're like, you kind of, I don't know if you can see it. No, you can't see it. So, I think I was
and you're not wearing a kilt. You lied.
I'm not wearing a kilt today. I'm wearing pants. But you bend your knees down really low, right? Like super low, like, and then you work your quad muscles, and then you just practice punches. And it's just, the first time I did it was like 20 seconds, and my legs were shaking, and I fell on the floor, and I was sweating. And then you build that up over time anyway. So I remember when I first did my first test to 15 minutes, he goes, and you're just shaking, your legs are just doing this, and the sweat's coming off your brow, and your focus is going, because you're just so, everything in you wants to fetal position, right? And I think that was actually where I mastered yoga. Child's pose in yoga was just from after the effects of this. But so I was like, you're just shaking, you're sweating, the whole thing. And he comes up, I'm like a minute away from my 15-minute, right? My first one. And he comes up to me and he's like, don't give up, right? And he has this, I love accents and I don't do them very well, but he had this awesome Chinese accent. And he's like, don't give up. And he's like, you must not give up. If you give up, you must not give up. You must have a strong leg. If you don't have a strong leg, you cannot run away. And I just lost it, fell on the floor, laughing myself silly, because he just, okay, that's not what I was expecting. You must be Rambo. And he was serious, learned a lot from him. Yeah.
Makes sense. Excellent, Johnny. Thank you. That was our quick fire round, and I'm afraid to say you didn't win the car.
What question did I get wrong? I was right about pineapple. What else do you want from me?
All of them, unfortunately. Yeah, the comments are all really no. Actually, a lot of people. Somebody's supporting you on the pineapple.
My brother.
They're banned from my page. No. I couldn't actually. It's Chelsea, and she's lovely. She next time I go and see them, they'll get beaten up if I ban her from my page. So, Johnny, we're going to wrap up very soon. I want to thank you so much for this. This has been fantastic for the second episode. I think it's very important. We didn't quite cover everything because, well, I knew we wouldn't.
Life is big.
We talk. But I think one thing that's really important is actually you are a very established 20-odd years in the business, if not more. Yeah. You have released 7 albums. You've worked with wonderful names. You've understudied with people. You've developed. You've trained. You do a little bit of teaching. You do the Calgary Jazz Orchestra. You've basically got a big repertoire going on there and a lot of experience. So if you could impart any knowledge to somebody in any performance, not just music, like as somebody coming up in the art scene, is there any words of wisdom you feel that you'd like to impart, or you could give them to inspire, to motivate, or to tell them just run away?
Oh, yeah. The man, there's so much. There's really so much. But I think the first thing is explore. Explore your art form and your interest in others. That allows us to grow and learn. I go here. You go to a great play, you learn more about music. You go to hear a great concert, and then you want to paint. I think explore, whether you're a professional or you're a hobbyist, or you want to sell or you want to create for you and your circle. Do it, but explore. Then train. Just like if you want to be a runner, you can't just go out and suddenly qualify for the Boston Marathon or something. So train, find the best people in your area, and take lessons from them, take private lessons from them. Now, online is easy. There's even I still take lessons from people, and there's a guy I was studying with in Denmark recently and learned a ton from him. So train, and study, and then go do it. And then if you are creating something, share it and let people know. And if it is somebody though that wants to be right in a profession in the arts, that's different. First, I would say that there are a ton of great professional artists and professional musicians who could work full time, but they also have other jobs. I'm thinking of a great painter right now who is a registered massage therapist and works with neck injuries and stuff, helping people there, and is passionate about both things. I know another person who's a military person who plays in the CJO. So it doesn't mean that, and that doesn't mean that they're not, they haven't made it, or that they haven't, because art creation isn't about monetization. But if you are going to, learn, it's okay to do one thing to support the other. That's very normal too. I've been really fortunate that my vocation is, for all my life has been from music. And I hope that continues, because really I'd be terrible working at a Tim Hortons. I'd just be terrible. But if you do want to do it as a vocation, to make that transition, then you have to be slightly entrepreneurial, and you have to think, what is it that's going to really connect with my audience? So I love to do music that people already know, which is something that jazz musicians have been doing forever. But I like to play music they know, and then they hear my take on it. That's cultured from a jazz tradition, if we're playing jazz or other styles of music too. But I think it would just be to, and you're supposed to say stuff like, "Oh, be true to yourself," and but it's true, yes. But explore all the great people who have come before us to teach us music and art and drama and how to comment on the human condition in all these different ways, and storytelling and everything. See what I did there? So and to bring all that in, and then take what you like out of it, because that's when you'll create something new and something different. Not just, whether it is, yes, it's all jazz and I'm pulling from my favorite jazz trumpet players, or I'm taking storytelling and I'm taking a big band tradition like we talked about doing once, and creating something that's written around telling a story in a live context, which I hope we get to do, should we get to do live performance, sometimes. But so I think it's explore, learn, study, and eyes wide open, and then just give to everybody what it is. There's a trumpet player who I love, who was seen in a someone came up to them and said, "Hey, you're so and so." It was a very famous person, and said, "Oh, you're so and so, and would you play for my son? He likes trumpet." And he said, "Sure. What song do you like?" And he said, "Oh, I like When the Saints Go Marching In." And it's like, well, that's a song that's been done so much that a lot of players, "Oh, that's beneath me," or that's, and he said, "Absolutely." And he took out his horn and he looked at this young man and he just played. So and just to play and just thank you, and then he just kept playing, and he just kept having more fun and more fun. And then his musicians with him jumped in, and so just to give joy and sound and color and light and music and love. And so just take it all in and create something and give it all back out and just keep doing that process over and over. And just don't think that the world owes us anything. We need to create a place that we're going, if you want to make a vocation of it, create a place that, because the world doesn't owe you just because you've put in your 10,000 hours or you're really good at this one thing on this one instrument. It just doesn't. So we have to figure out a way to connect with each other and connect with our audience, I think. But I mean, that's off the top of my head and really quick. And
yeah, no, it was yes, very good. A lot more elaborate than I was thinking. So thank you. Basically, I just, you've taken up everyone else's answer, Johnny. So I only jest with you. Thank you. No, Johnny, honestly, thank you. That was brilliant. Again, lovely bit of playing as well, which I really appreciate. You know, it's just so nice to hear it. And hopefully I'm getting, again, lots of nice comments. People, bravo. Oh, somebody said bravo.
The Italians are here.
Oh, look at you go.
So and then just to connect with people, if anyone's interested in what I'm doing,
please.
My email at my email list, just at my website, johnnysummers.com. Sign up to my email list. Then Twitter at Johnny Summers. I think you have all the lists in the thing here.
Yeah, it's on the show description, and your Facebook's been scrolling across the bottom of the screen for the whole show.
Oh wow, great! And then the I think the Spotify is I'm still learning a little bit about the streaming thing, but Spotify is a big one. So even if you just click follow, like follow me as an artist on Spotify, that's something I'm supposed to say now that I never used to say because people will buy a record.
Yes. Please click me virtually. Like
weird, right?
Follow
so weird.
me.
Subscribe on YouTube, right? And they should for you as well, and follow on Spotify. And that way, when I have something new coming out or whatever, they'll know it. But apparently, if you on both those platforms, if you get around the 1,000 mark, that's where you start to need to aim, and then the algorithms promote you a little more. So I'm told again, I'm more interested in playing music. So.
Well, that's it. Yeah. In this day and age, with everything that's happened, sadly, we're having to focus a little bit more on these weird algorithms and numbers, but ultimately we're here just to entertain and have fun. And bring the love. Spread the love in a clean, socially distant manner. Yeah,
without speaking moistly.
Oh, he went there. Okay. Well, Johnny, I want to thank you very much for joining me tonight. I'm going to sign off in the show. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop you into the green room. There you will find M&Ms all separated with the W's removed. You will find, sadly, ham and pineapple pizza because somebody told me you like that. But there is deep fried haggis.
Is that good? The last one, is that?
That's actually, yeah. Okay, do you not understand Scotland? We deep fry everything. So why not take a stodgy, heavy dish and then add batter to it?
And deep fry it. That's so Southern American. I love it.
Oh, we're just crazy. So, a lot of people are saying they're following you and finding you and following you, Johnny.
Oh, great. Thank you.
So
Thank
lovely.
You very much.
So I'm going to pop you into the green room. Johnny, sign off, say goodbye. Everyone, big round of applause for Johnny. Wonderful. Virtual. Johnny,
Thanks,
I'll pop you into the
everyone,
green
for
room. I'll be with you in a moment while I sign off. Thank you so much. Okay, ladies and gents, thank you so much for joining. I hope you enjoyed this show. I have had great fun. I could listen to Johnny talk forever, and if you know Johnny, he will happily talk forever. In fact, I believe there is a potential competition for even me talking forever. So please do find Johnny. Do follow him. He is very well known in Calgary, obviously the Calgary Jazz Orchestra. But look up all his virtual and online stuff. Look at his CDs. I've had a listen to The Baker's Dozen, and it is a phenomenal album. Well worth getting a hold of, folks. So please do find Johnny and follow him. If you are interested and you are a performer or involved in the arts, please do send me an email. My email's now scrolling along the bottom, and let me know, and I will try and slot you in one of the shows, and we can have a chat about what you do and performance and the arts. And our next episode is coming up really quickly, folks. It's actually coming up on Tuesday the 2nd, where we have another Calgarian performance, but not one. Oh, no. We have a duo. We have two performers for the price of one. We have the fabulous Drop Bear and Panda joining us on the 2nd of June, live here, same place, same time. So do please come along to the next episode of A Scotsman Talks To on the 2nd of June with Drop Bear and Panda. Thank you for joining. It's been an absolute pleasure. I hope you've enjoyed. I have always have had fun. So thank you, folks, and have a wonderful night.